Thank you, Professor Mohanty, Professor Vaidya, Piyali ji of Terry, Professor Sunit Tandon, friends from the RIS and all of our other friends who are here today. Today really is a very special day for India and all Indians. We today have formally assumed presidency of the G20. You are all aware that the G20 is one of the most influential global groupings. It accounts for 85% of total GDP, the world's GDP, 75% of global trade, and two-thirds of the world's population. So the decisions taken by the G20 have an impact on a global basis. And as we assume presidency, we do so with a great sense of responsibility and humility. Clearly, the expectations are very high, as are the challenges. We are living in a fairly polarized geopolitical environment. We have also issues that relate to concerns at the macroeconomic level, at the levels of financial stability. There are energy and food crisis, and there is a great deal of expectations, especially from the global south, that India's presidency would make that decisive difference. The Prime Minister has already said that we would have a bold, ambitious, and result-oriented presidency. And I think what is important is that we have to use our own experiences and provide insights based on our experiences that can lead the world into a more, I would say, into a better era of greater cooperation, greater amity, and greater cooperation when it comes to issues that are important for all of us: development, growth, stability, taking the SDGs forward. Our priorities, of course, would include reform of the multilateral institutions, especially the Bretton Woods institutions. We are looking also at the environment and how to lead more sustainable lifestyles that could contribute to better mitigation, adaptation in terms of climate change. Women-led development is important for us. And all of these issues would be very critical. But I think what is today important is that we are also, on the 1st of December, we've had a number of activities, most notable of which, of course, was the Prime Minister's op-ed piece that appeared not only in newspapers in India, but all over the world. So in a certain sense, our priorities and our enunciation of our presidency, whether it is in terms of lifestyle for environment, whether it is in terms of how we can contribute towards a better global understanding geopolitically and geoeconomically, these aspects have been highlighted to an audience throughout the world. And we had, as Professor Mohanty mentioned, had a very good event this morning, which was anchored by the RIS, in which we had students from 75 universities all over the country join us. We had about 300 students and vice chancellors in our hall itself. Our External Affairs Minister, Dr. Jaishankar, interacted with the students, took a number of questions. We had Principal Secretary to Prime Minister, Dr. P.K. Mishra, who addressed them, gave some ideas. So great way to start. I think the Prime Minister's vision has it that we should broad-base the G20. For the first time, G20 meetings are going to be held in over 50 locations all over our country. I think that has never been done before. Every part of our country will have a G20 meeting. The idea is that every state will be a stakeholder in the G20. Every citizen of India really should know what it means for him and what the G20 is all about when we take the presidency. So as the Prime Minister says, it is not a presidency which is confined to the union or the central government. It is a presidency for every citizen of India. And our effort is to broad base the G20 and its message across the country through Jan Bhagidari and Jan Andolan, and we will certainly take it across to as wide an audience as possible. We have appealed to students, to several sections, academics, intellectuals like yourselves, to really be brand ambassadors for the G20. We spoke about a model G20, like a model UN, and I think schools, universities, colleges, institutes, but also at the level of I would say, getting the message through FM radio, through television. This is the effort to try and broad base it to the extent possible. So once again, hearty congratulations to the RIS. My colleague, Dr. Sumit Seth, is here. He is really one of the leading, I would say, senior officials from our side who is working with institutes to get this message across. And I think certainly we have had a great partnership with the RIS and with many other institutes, not only for Think 20, but also as Professor Vaidya mentioned, Urban 20, Youth 20, Business 20, Women 20, so Sports 20. There is a whole range of engagement groups out there which are beyond government. I mean, G20 goes beyond governments. It's an inclusive grouping. It takes into account as broad-based decisions as possible, and many of these engagement groups will, I think, involve all of you, and we're very happy to be here on this occasion today. So thank you so very much, and all the best to our presidency.